At the beginning of February, at the Etihad, Manchester City had gone 14 points clear of Liverpool by beating Brentford 2-0, albeit from 2 games more than Jurgen Klopp's side. But then Liverpool won 10 league games in a row, while City dropped points against Southampton, Spurs and Crystal Palace. On the 10th of April, English football's 2 dominant teams faced one another once more, just a single point apart.
What is sure is that Liverpool and Man City in the last years, we raised the bar, we raised the targets like a Premier League had before, that's for sure. We push each other a lot, and I think the other teams, they realize they have to push more to chase us. So that is the truth.
It's an insane football team, and for me, the world's best manager. So that's a combination which makes it quite tricky. But the good news, they're human beings as well. If you have a chance, I really think you should give it a go, and that's exactly our situation. There's no pressure, it's just opportunity. So let's go for it and let's see where we will end up.
October's first meeting produced an exhilarating 2-2 draw at Anfield. And this latest instalment of a flourishing rivalry more than lived up to its billing.
Deflection! Goal! Kevin De Bruyne penetrates promptly, and the champions strike first on their turf. He is just about unstoppable right now. Stones' header bounces towards Andy Robertson. Alexander-Arnold, Jota, one each! Well, that has not taken long. Oh, Henderson! Oh, my goodness me. It's crazy. Does his heart beat? Cancelo. And Jesus has scored! Simplicity itself! Liverpool are stunned here. Salah. He's rolled it into the path of Sadio Mane! 2-2! Start of the second half. Well, what next? Whatever he said, he got it right. Liverpool have burst back to life. And the plot is no less thick, and the margin is no less tight. It is 1 point. It is still 1 point.
Manchester United needed their talisman on top form to see off Norwich 3-2. Cristiano Ronaldo netted his second hat-trick of the season to keep United's pursuit of the top 4 on track. The Canaries had pulled back from 2 behind before Ronaldo finally finished them off. That win was United's first in any competition since the middle of March. 3 days later, quadruple-chasing Liverpool posed a much more potent threat. The Reds were rampant, and Mo Salah had his opponents praying for mercy. The Egyptian scored twice in a straightforward 4-0 victory to become the first player in Premier League history to put away 5 goals against United in a single campaign. Liverpool had shown their class to overtake Manchester City at the summit. But the champions would get the chance to respond just 24 hours later at home to Brighton, which they did, breaking the Seagulls' determined resistance with 3 second-half goals to return to the top. Change was afoot for Manchester United, who confirmed Ralf Rangnick's summer replacement would be Erik ten Hag, soon to win his 3rd league title as head coach of Ajax. His chances of inheriting a team in the Champions League were fading fast, as United were beaten at Arsenal. Ronaldo's 100th Premier League goal offered hope by taking the score to 2-1, before his fellow Portuguese Bruno Fernandes had the opportunity to equalise. Squandered. Instead, Granit Xhaka sealed the Gunners' win in style, lifting them to 4th ahead of Spurs, who drew at Brentford. The league leaders moved 4 points clear by adding to Watford's relegation issues. In a 5-1 triumph, Gabriel Jesus scored 4. The Hornets remained 7 points from safety. Burnley, by contrast, were rallying. Under-23s coach Mike Jackson had taken the reins since Sean Dyche's much-discussed departure and was defying the doubters. After a draw at West Ham and home victory over Southampton, Mate Vidra's solitary goal was enough to vanquish Wolves. Everton. For the Merseyside club, hardly the best preparation for a visit to the neighbours. Liverpool took the Derby Day honours, putting themselves back on the tail of Manchester City and leaving their local rivals in the mire. The last time Everton were in the relegation zone this far into a season was back in 1999.
Burnley's next contribution to the battle at the bottom all but spelt the end for Watford. 2 goals in the last 7 minutes at Vicarage Road carried them further clear of danger. Watford's unlikely survival hopes now hinged on bridging a 12-point gap, with just 12 points left to play for. Even the most optimistic mathematician could no longer come up with an equation to spare Norwich. A 2-0 defeat at Aston Villa rubber-stamped a relegation that had been looming for months. The Canaries dropped out of the Premier League for a record 6th time. The club that had sacked Dean Smith sealed his new team's fate.
The two front-runners continued to trade places. First, at St James's Park, Naby Keita clinched a win that put Liverpool 2 points ahead in the title race and took their unbeaten league run to 15 matches. But things swung back Manchester City's way, courtesy of a 4-0 victory at Leeds, who were becoming seriously concerned. The Yorkshire club's 5-point advantage over the bottom 3 was far from secure. Going into the final month, 1 point was still all that divided the top 2. Chelsea's grip on third was now looser than earlier in the campaign. It was surely only a matter of time before Watford would be sent back to the Championship with Norwich. But who would complete the trio?
May started with a sting for the Hornets. Watford's failure to win at Crystal Palace confirmed their fate. Former Eagles boss Roy Hodgson suffered relegation for the first time. His old club moved into the top half as Wilfried Zaha's penalty secured the 3 points for Patrick Vieira's side. Hodgson was to leave at the end of the season. Former Forest Green Rovers manager Rob Edwards has been appointed to lead the team.
If Liverpool were to deny Manchester City the league title and maintain their pursuit of a rare quadruple, they needed a pretty much pitch-perfect run through their remaining 4 games. The Reds had reached the Champions League final following a dramatic victory in Spain against Villarreal. In their first Premier League outing in May, they faced a domestic opponent with Champions League aspirations of their own, Tottenham.
We are focusing what we need to do. Obviously, we need City to draw points, but we cannot focus on them. We need to focus in ourselves to do our job to win the games that we need to win.
Tottenham visit today with a vision and purpose of their own. Win their remaining games and they will play Champions League football for the first time since Liverpool beat them in the final 3 years ago. Kane, beautifully taken. It's Harry Kane for Tottenham. It's Sessegnon. It's Son. It's Spurs. Anfield shivers, quakes. Tottenham in raptures. The title race in a state of insecurity, angst and worry. A furrowed German brow. Thiago. Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz, deflection goal! Just when they needed it most, the little box of tricks has come up with another. The night it twisted. Liverpool.
Pep Guardiola's side had been knocked out of the Champions League at the semi-final stage, so defending their crown was imperative. A 5-0 victory over Newcastle put them back at the top of the table and improved their goal difference. Only Wolves, West Ham and Aston Villa stood between them and the title. Ahead of the game at Molineux, City confirmed the signing of Norwegian international Erling Haaland from Borussia Dortmund. While the striker might add a new dimension, the current crop were showing no shortage of predatory prowess. Kevin De Bruyne struck 4 in a 5-1 win. That result left the defending champions needing 4 points from their final 2 games to be certain of a 4th league title in 5 years. The race for 4th place took the focus to North London. Victory for Arsenal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium would have guaranteed Champions League football for the Gunners, but Spurs had other ideas. After Rob Holding was sent off, the visitors collapsed. Harry Kane's brace and Heung-min Son's second-half goal took Tottenham up to 5th, a point above the Gunners.
Manchester City could all but clinch the crown with a win at West Ham. The East Londoners were bidding farewell to club captain Mark Noble, who was making his last home appearance. City's title rivals Liverpool had won the FA Cup the previous day, their second trophy out of a possible 4. But the quadruple would be virtually unobtainable if the defending champions beat the Hammers.
Oh, Bowen could be in here. It's Jared Bowen for West Ham. He's round the keeper. He scored! Happy Hammer! And the champions have something substantial to ponder. Antonio over the top, and here is Jared Bowen! Hold the back page! This title neither won nor lost just yet. City have an East End mountain to climb. Jared Bowen again, as the first half clock ticks 45. What about it? In by Zinchenko, away by Souček, hit by Grealish! Purely, crisply, Riyad Mahrez, oh, it's an own goal! Fortune intervenes in the title race. Manchester City all square, back where they started, bubbling, believing. Gabriel Jesus, he's got over Dawson. It's a penalty. Manchester City from 2-0 down, on the cusp of gathering a lead, which would in turn take them to the cusp of being champions again. This is a moment, one of those moments, pivotal, telling, perhaps decisive. Riyad Mahrez, repelled by Fabianski and away!
Two points dropped, but City's destiny was still in their own hands. Victory on the final day of the season against Aston Villa at the Etihad would be enough.
In fact, they'd be crowned champions without kicking a ball if Liverpool lost at Southampton in midweek. The visitors fell behind. City fans watching must have been praying. But the Reds rallied. Goals from Takumi Minamino and Joel Matip ensured that the title race would go down to the wire. Everton put an end to their relegation fears on the last Thursday before the final weekend, but they did it the hard way. The Goodison crowd was loud and proud, even when their team trailed by 2-0. Maybe it was that support, maybe it was desperation, but somehow, incredibly, they came back. Michael Keane, then Richarlison levelled matters, before Dominic Calvert-Lewin struck in the 85th minute to spark scenes of absolute pandemonium. Everton's 68-year stay in the top flight will be extended. Ahead of their game against Aston Villa, Burnley knew that whatever the result, their fate could not be decided until the last day of the season. But they gave themselves something of a boost with a draw at Villa Park. Ashley Barnes' first half penalty, his first goal of the campaign, put them ahead, only for Emiliano Buendia to equalise early in the second half. Mike Jackson's side had to content themselves with a point. A better result than Leeds on Sunday, and the Clarets would be safe. Caretaker coach Mike Jackson had secured 11 points from his 7 games since Sean Dyche was dismissed. He'd lost 3 and won 3. Victory over Newcastle would definitely complete his mission to keep the Clarets up. Burnley fell behind to a brace of goals from Callum Wilson, though. And that meant they were relying on Leeds losing at Brentford. Even though Maxwell Cornet pulled a goal back, their Premier League status was hanging in the balance. Leeds knew they had to better Burnley's result. After a goalless first half, their standout player this season, Rafinha, won his side a penalty which he duly dispatched to send the travelling fans into raptures. With a little over 10 minutes to go, Brentford equalised to set the alarm bells ringing once again. But in the 94th minute, Jack Harrison's strike secured all 3 points. Leeds were safe, and Burnley's fate was sealed. Not since Wigan in 2011 has a side that began the final day in the bottom 3 gone on to survive. Tottenham will enjoy Champions League football next season. Their emphatic 5-0 win against already relegated Norwich guaranteed them 4th, despite Arsenal's 5-1 victory over Everton. Heung-min Son scored twice. The South Korean would share the Golden Boot with Mo Salah.
The final act, centre stage at the Etihad. The defending champions, Manchester City, with a 1-point advantage over second-place Liverpool. They'd led for most of the calendar year, but could Pep Guardiola's men hold their nerve? At Anfield, Liverpool were determined to keep the pressure on the leaders right to the last.
Long clearance here from Jose Sarr, finding his way through for Jimenez. That was not in the script. Pedro Neto, less than 2.5 minutes in. It's Mane! Back on level terms, Sadio Mane.
Dina. Cash! The twist! The gut-wrenching twist! Kins wins the header. Coutinho takes. Philip Coutinho scores! Silence! Stunned silence! Lifted in by Sterling, there's one back! There's one back! Ilkay Gundogan got big at the back stick! Zinchenko and Rodri! It's happening again! In goes De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne! Gundogan! From the brink of despair! 3-2 on the final day, 10 years on. Are you watching, Sergio? The winners, and still the champions of the land, Manchester City.
Despite 2 late goals to secure a final day victory over Wolves, it wasn't enough. Liverpool had come so close.
85 years since their first title, 10 years since Aguero. Champions of England for the 8th time, the Premier League for the 6th, the 4th time in 5 years. The magic, the might, the majesty of Manchester City, champions 2022.
These guys were legends. So when you win in this country, the Premier League, 4 times in 5 years, it's because these guys are so special. So will be remembered.
So it all came down to a single point. Manchester City a 6th Premier League title in 11 seasons. Chelsea and Tottenham will join them and Liverpool in the Champions League next season, with Arsenal and Manchester United in the Europa League. Burnley, Watford and Norwich dropped into the Championship. But Brentford can look back on their first campaign in the Premier League with great pride.
Another season. Another story. 85 years since their first title in the top flight of English football. The Premier League champions of the land once again. Manchester City.